It was 2:17 in the morning when the call came through to dispatch. A woman, mid-30s, her voice shaking so badly the operator could barely make out what she was saying. Through choked sobs, she managed to gasp out, "Please, he's in the house. I locked the door, but he's still here. Please hurry." Then, the call just went silent. It didn't hang up, there was just static, and then right before the line cut, a faint whisper. "He found me." The number traced back to 1428 Willow Lane, a property we had marked as vacant, foreclosed on 2 years ago after an entire family just vanished. My partner, Officer Grant, and I were on the night shift, so we took the call. We knew the address. It was one of those local legends, the place kids dared each other to go. Dispatch even reminded us that no one was supposed to be living there. Still, protocol is protocol. The drive was short, less than 10 minutes. Willow Lane was dead silent, just old houses shadowed by flickering streetlights. The house stood at the very end of the street, windows boarded up, the roof sagging like a tired old man, and the yard a jungle of weeds. The porch steps groaned under our weight as we walked up. The front door was slightly ajar, just swinging in the breeze. I announced our presence. "Police, hello?" Nothing. Just a low creak from somewhere deep inside the house. And then we both heard it. Soft crying coming from upstairs. It was the same voice from the call. We exchanged a look. Grant whispered, "Thought you said this place was empty." I just nodded, my hand already on my weapon as I stepped over the threshold. The air inside was cold, way colder than it was outside. It smelled like mold and something old, something metallic, almost like dried blood. Every step we took, the floorboards gave way beneath us. The crying grew louder, pulling us toward the main staircase. "Ma'am, this is the police," I called out again. Just like that, the crying stopped. Total silence. We waited, our flashlights steady on the stairs, just listening. Something moved in the darkness above us. A single, slow step, then another. Grant muttered under his breath, "She's up there." I don't know why, but a feeling of pure dread started crawling up my spine. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me not to go up those stairs. But we had to. We climbed, and at the top, a long, narrow hall stretched out before us. Only one door was open at the very end, a faint, flickering light coming from inside. We moved toward it slowly, the sound of our boots echoing in the stillness. When I pushed the door open, the room was empty. Completely empty. Just a single wooden chair sitting right in the center. And there, on the floor beside it, a phone screen glowed faintly. It was the same number that had called us. The room was stripped bare. No curtains, no other furniture, just that one chair and the phone. The screen was still lit up, frozen on the 911 call timer. The timestamp read 02:17 a.m., the exact time dispatch gave us. I called it in, telling them we had an open device at the scene and needed a trace on any prints. Grant knelt down to pick it up, but before his fingers could touch it, we both heard it again. Movement, this time from downstairs. It wasn't footsteps. It was more like the sound of something heavy being dragged slowly across the floorboards. We rushed back down the hall, our flashlight beams cutting through the thick dust in the air. The moment we reached the top of the stairs, the noise stopped. Everything went silent again except for the sound of our own breathing and the faint creak of the old house settling. We cleared the entire first floor, kitchen, living room, even the basement door, which was nailed shut from the outside. There was no one there. We checked every corner. No signs of forced entry, yet the front door had been open when we arrived. There were no footprints in the dust except for our own. I radioed dispatch again, asking them to confirm the caller's identity. The line went quiet for a few seconds, and then the operator's voice came back, strained. "That number is inactive. It's been disconnected since 2019. That's when the name hit me. Sarah Dunn. She was the previous owner, the one who vanished back in 2019 after making a nearly identical 911 call. They never found her. The department had closed the case. Missing, presumed dead. I looked at Grant, trying to hide the cold chill running down my back. "Let's bag the phone," I said. trying to sound professional. He nodded and crouched down again. As he did, the lights in the house flickered. Not electric lights, the power had been cut for years. But a faint glow from somewhere deeper inside, like someone had just lit a candle in another room. "Who's there?" Grant shouted. No answer. We followed the light into the kitchen, and there on the dusty countertop something was scratched into the wood. The marks were fresh, looked like they were made with fingernails. They spelled out 2 words. "Still here." Grant took a step back, muttering, That wasn't there before." I didn't answer him. We backed out of the house and called for backup and a crime scene unit. But when we looked back through the window, the light inside was gone. We waited in a tense silence until backup arrived. The other units searched the place from top to bottom. They found no one. But here's the strange part. When the forensics guy finally picked up the phone to bag it, it rang. Just once, even though it had no service and no SIM card. Back at the station, I stayed late, reviewing the call log. Dispatch sent over the audio from the phone we found. Most of it was corrupted static, but a few words managed to break through. The woman's voice was faint, terrified. "He's in the house. Please hurry. I'm in the room upstairs." Then there was a pause, and another voice came through, deep, distorted, like it was coming through the floorboards themselves. It whispered something. You couldn't make it out clearly, but it sounded like, "You shouldn't have come back." We ran the voice through every enhancement software we had. The results came back inconclusive. No match in any system. Around 3:30 a.m., Grant called me from his patrol car. He'd parked near Willow Lane just to keep an eye on the property until the next shift took over. His voice was low, uneasy. "I keep seeing a light upstairs," he said, "like someone's walking around with a candle, but the house is sealed tight." I told him to stay put in his car and just wait for the morning shift. He agreed. At 4:12 a.m., dispatch received another 911 call. Same number. The call lasted exactly 19 seconds. The only thing you could hear was breathing and that faint dragging sound, like fabric scraping against wood. The GPS ping placed the call inside the Willow Lane house. Again. We sent 2 cars immediately. When they arrived, the house was dark and silent. Grant's cruiser was still parked out front, engine running, driver's side door wide open. There was no sign of him. We searched the entire area, the backyard, the woods behind it. Nothing. But when I went back upstairs to that same empty room, the wooden chair was knocked over, and on the wall behind it, written in what looked like dried mud, or maybe blood, were 3 words. He took him. We never found Officer Grant. The department officially classified it as officer missing in the line of duty. But I know what I heard on that recording. That whisper. The tone in that voice. It wasn't human. After Grant went missing, the house on Willow Lane was officially marked off limits. The chief said we'd treat it like any other missing persons case, but you could see it in everyone's eyes. No one wanted to go back there. Something about that place just felt fundamentally wrong. 3 days later, we got authorization for one last search with a full team. I went along with Detective Heller and 2 forensic techs. The first thing I noticed when we stepped inside was the smell. It was much stronger now, like something had been rotting for a very, very long time somewhere beneath the floorboards. We cleared each room systematically. Nothing seemed out of place except the chair upstairs was gone. It had just vanished. Heller ordered us to check the basement, the same basement door that had been nailed shut. The nails were still there, hammered in place, but the wood around them had split, like something had forced its way out from the inside. We pried the door open and went down. The air hit us like a physical blow, thick, sour, and freezing cold. Our flashlight beams cut through layers of dust and cobwebs. The concrete floor was damp, almost muddy. Then we found it. A patch of floor, much darker than the rest, stained deep into the concrete. Forensics took samples. The results came back later as human blood, multiple types. While we were documenting the scene, one of the techs, a young guy named Riley, said he heard something, a whispering, coming from deeper in the darkness. I thought he was just spooked until I heard it too. A faint, female voice, crying, the same voice from the 911 call. Riley called out, "Hello, can you hear us?" The crying stopped. Then came a loud crack, like a thick piece of wood snapping, and one of the main support beams behind us shifted. Dust rained down from the ceiling. We started backing away, but before we could reach the stairs, Riley's light caught something carved into the concrete wall. He won't let us leave. The bulbs in our flashlights flickered violently, and the temperature plummeted. For just a second, I swear I saw movement in the corner of my eye, a shadow shaped like a man, but impossibly tall for the low ceiling. Then, I saw its eyes, black and glassy, staring right at us. We bolted. The chief officially closed the case that same night, deeming the structure unsafe for entry. But I couldn't stop thinking about the words on that wall. They weren't covered in dust. They were fresh. 2 weeks passed. I took some leave, but I couldn't shake what happened. I kept replaying the 911 audio over and over, listening for anything I missed. One night, around 1:30 in the morning, I got a call from an unlisted number. When I answered, there was only static. Then, a faint whisper broke through. "He's still in the house." It was Sarah Dunn's voice. I know it was. The line went dead. I checked my call log. The number matched the disconnected one from the incident. That was it. I grabbed my gear and drove to Willow Lane alone. The house looked the same, but there was a light on again, a single candle, flickering in that same upstairs window. Inside it was dead quiet. I called out for Grant for anyone. My voice just echoed through the empty rooms. Then I heard it, the familiar sound of slow, deliberate footsteps overhead. I went up the stairs, gun drawn, the air feeling heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest. At the top of the stairs, I saw something new. The chair was back, in the middle of the room, and sitting on it was Grant's badge, clean and polished. Beneath it, a scrap of torn fabric from his uniform. I moved closer and noticed the phone on the floor was glowing again. No battery, no SIM card, but the screen was lit. The 911 call timer was running, but this time it was counting up. I could hear faint breathing coming from the speaker, and then a whisper, "You shouldn't have come alone." And then every single door in the house slammed shut at once. The candle blew out. The temperature dropped so fast I saw my own breath. My flashlight flickered, and in that split second of light, I saw a figure standing in the corner of the room. It wasn't Grant. It wasn't human. It moved toward me. No footsteps, no sound, just a shape sliding across the floor. I fired once, but the sound was muffled, like the air itself swallowed the noise. When my light came back on, the figure was gone. And so was the chair. I ran. I didn't stop until I was back in my cruiser, my hands shaking so badly I could barely turn the key. When I looked back at the house, the upstairs window was glowing faintly again. 2 black eyes were staring out at me. I never went back. Officially, the report still says Officer Grant is missing. Unofficially, I know he never left that house. None of them did. Last week, during a training session, dispatch accidentally queued up the original 911 call from that night. But this time it played differently. The crying. It wasn't Sarah Dunn's voice anymore. It was a man's. It was Grant. He was saying the same words she did. "Please, he's in the house. Please, he won't let me out." Then, silence. After a few seconds, a whisper followed, faint but clear as day. "Now you know." They cut the tape immediately, blaming it on a glitch. But when I asked to hear it again, the file was gone. Deleted. Dispatch swore nobody touched it. Every now and then we still get phantom calls. Always at 2-1.